Hi, Jane. Hi. Can you hear me okay?
Yeah.
Yeah,
I'm Jared, by the way.
Huh. Nice to meet you.
Nice to meet you. Opath, how's it going?
it's going pretty good. How are you, man?
Doing good, doing good. Do you want to introduce your mom?
Oh
Or
yeah, this this is my mom, Michon. She is a dyslexic tutor, and she's been tutoring me since fifth grade, I think.
Fourth grade.
Fourth grade. Yeah.
is that when you were diagnosed?
Yeah.
Or okay. What can you take us through your story? One, I want to preface this. Opath is I heard you interview for the Running the Distance Scholarship and just your commitment to helping people and your dedication. So I want to dive into that, but I really want to give the audience a chance to get to know the origin of the story. So if you could share like what it was like to be diagnosed.
Yeah. So before I was diagnosed, I really thought I was stupid and I really just wasn't getting anything. And then as it progressed, my mom thought like, oh, something is actually wrong. Like it's not just him because we got to a point where teachers would just keep saying like, oh, he'll get it eventually, and I just never did. So we did. We went to Portland, and then we got me diagnosed, and we figured out it was dyslexia. And then ever since that day, she stepped up and started like tutoring me easily, and then we saw like a drastic change in everything, and I started to feel more like a kid again, like I was kind of normal, sort of. And
Absolutely.
then like it, and that like lit a fire in me basically to just be like, I don't want people to suffer like how I did, so I want to go out and I want to help people in any way I can.
It's amazing. Mom, just from your, so were you a tutor before this, or did you?
No, I wasn't. I had a friend who had a daughter and she was using the Barton system with her and it wasn't going so well because you know how it's difficult to tutor your own child. And so she asked, I was explaining to her the trouble we were having. And she was like, it sounds like he might be dyslexic. Would you tutor my daughter? And then you could also use it and tutor your son. And so that's how I got into it. And I just loved doing it. And I was lucky he was so nice to me, but I just loved it. And so, and then in the process, I found out that I was dyslexic as well.
No
And so,
way.
which so at 35, I think I found that out because OPATH. So OPATH helped me to deal with, and learn about my dyslexia.
So you were in the battles together. You're in the trenches together. Opath, what was it like being tutored by your mom? Like, was that a hard
It
experience?
it was it was a struggle. I mean, there were some days where I was just like, I don't need this. I don't want to do this because it kind of felt like school on a Saturday and a Sunday. And like every day I had off, we would always be tutoring, and I just didn't like it anymore. But I stuck with it.
Yeah.
I
And
used to
it
call
was
that
hard
school.
because,
Oh, go ahead. Sorry.
oh, I was just going to say, it was hard because he was one of my first students. So he taught me a lot about listening, and he taught me a lot about how to do a good job while you tutor.
It's amazing. I was just gonna say, like, we used to call that school on top of school. Like when you
Yeah.
have the Saturday and Sunday sessions or the night sessions after the day. What was the school environment for you? Do you have any experiences that you can share from that?
It was really just like, to me, I didn't grasp math very well, and I didn't get reading very well. It was very hard for me. Like I didn't fully learn how to read until fourth grade when we started tutoring.
Hmm.
And even then I had some friends that understood, and some would just take me aside, and like when we had silent reading sessions they would read with me. But really it was kind of just me on my own because I thought like I was a normal kid, but I really wasn't.
It's incredible. Was there? did you ever feel bullied? Did you feel like isolated in the classroom, or were you just kind of trying to plug away on your own?
There were times where I just felt isolated. I never felt like bullied because a lot of the kids I knew were really understanding. But there were times like we used to play this game called Around the World, and it's basically you answer math questions really fast and you're going up against another person. And because I didn't really get math that well, I would never move on, so I got really frustrated at it.
Was there a moment that school flipped for you, that it became easier, or has it just always been this grind for you?
It I would say in fourth grade, I finally started to get everything. We got my reading level up to a fourth grade reading level, and it is still growing, but like we finally got it up, and then everything just started to come together. Math was still hard, but like I could read and write a lot more easily.
Mom, what is that? How do you feel when you hear that? Because I mean, you took them from ground zero to being at grade level. What does that mean for you as the mom as well as the tutor?
Well, I'm really proud of him. I mean, he's done so much for himself, but yeah, I feel really happy that his dad and I didn't just let this go. And his dad and I just didn't say, well, he's not so good at school. He was in a lot of pain and he was really upset. And, I'm really grateful that my husband and I were like, okay, what do we need to do to fix this situation? And so, and as much as we stepped up to the plate, OPAS stepped up to the plate and he fought for it too. And so it's been really a good thing for our family. Everybody stepped up.
That's awesome. It's total team effort, which I mean, that's the ideal situation. I want to get to the pain part, but before we do, was there accommodations that you by the way, Connor Knowles just gave you the Mamba sign with the Lakers logo. So whether you like Lakers or not, but just the mental toughness that it shows to like overcome what you did. He's talking about the grit. And a lot of people are giving you love on the line, right? By the way, but were there accommodations that you used? Like, have you found mechanisms like apps or things that you like to use in the classroom?
Yeah, there's a lot of good apps that I like to use. Mostly now I use like a text to speech. Not like I can say something into it and it will write it down, or like it will read it back to me. I also used a lot of Learning Ally in my English classes because I was never the fastest reader and I would never hit those deadlines. So I would always have to like listen to it on tape while I was following along with the book.
Did you ever feel different in the classroom using those devices, or because a lot of students get apprehensive about using that type of stuff in the classroom? What have you experienced that, or what advice would you maybe have for those students?
I mean, I never felt different from using those. I always thought just like it's because I can't read that fast and everyone else can just speed read all they want. So I just felt like it was just something that I could use to help me be on the same level as like other students. But I mean, if anyone's like giving them crap about it or something like that, it's just we're all just like listening to books. It's nothing different from like a teacher reading to you.
1000%. Totally agree with you. So I want to dive into the pain part because I get this sense from you, and I want your mom's perspective on this as well. But you have this like innate desire to want to help people and like make other people's lives better. And from someone that was suffering in the classroom or suffering going through reading, and then to come away with that as your mentality and as your essence, like where does that stem from, or how did that develop, or has it just always been there?
I felt like it kind of had to develop because when you're a kid, you just think like the whole world revolves around you, but it really doesn't. I felt like from all the love and care I got from my family, it really reinforced that to like help other people. And then just from like doing wrestling and doing other sports just really reinforced the fact like I really want to help people. I want to help people, make them better than who they are, or like just help them achieve this their full potential. And I like to think like wrestling really drove that in for me, because I love teaching kids new moves. I love helping kids with different moves, or even if they're not getting anything, I just like to just be there to support them and help them figure something out.
Mom, I gotta ask you, like hearing that from I mean, a young person who's dealt with all this stuff. How does that make you feel?
Oh, it makes me feel great. I mean, he's always been like that, though. He's
Yeah.
always been so caring and compassionate. Both my boys are, he's a twin, and I have these two boys who were just always helping other people. And, but now that he's in a role to help them in multiple ways, like he wants to help through sports, but he's also there to help people who are having difficulties, and he has that understanding. And I'm just really grateful that he's out in the world and he's going to give somebody that hope.
Yeah, that was my next question for you before we get into the college stuff. But you had these outlets of sports. Was that your go-to? Was that your way of dealing with some of the first?
Yeah, all the time. It was before I got good at like reading or anything. I really just turned to sports. I remember doing baseball as a kid, and it was just a fun time being out there until I got really bored of it. And then my dad got me,
sport.
yeah. And
Fair
then my
enough.
dad got me to do football. And then from there, I just built like a bigger family because I really connected with that sport a lot better. And I did that up until like senior year of high school. And then wrestling was just a whole different experience because you're around a lot of guys and you're just getting to know each other, and you're way closer than you were to like any other sports.
Yeah, I mean, we talk about it all the time, just having those outlets, be it sports, and obviously I can relate to that from that standpoint. But whether it's sports or art or music, but having that ability to channel that energy and put it into something, I think is just so huge. So I appreciate you kind of expressing it as well as you did. Okay, so you won the Running the Distance scholarship. You earned it. Can you tell the audience what you've been up to the last year?
I have really just been trying to focus on school and just like make sure that money doesn't go to waste. This last semester, I got a 3.6 in all my classes.
It's amazing. And do you mind sharing what university you're at?
Oh yeah, I go to the University of Idaho, and I'm an pre-athletic training major.
It's amazing. So yeah, you're just continually to help people through sport and through education. It's what is your end goal there? Do you know yet, or are you still figuring out?
I mean, I'm kind of figuring out the main goal. I really wanted to work with Nike and like work with their athletes and kind of help them design something. I don't know, but I would really like to travel with like the Olympic team or some team just to like get that experience under my belt.
Can totally see you doing that. As far as school goes at the university, I think a lot of the students that we have on the line would be interested to know, are you receiving accommodations at the university? How's that process been for you?
Yes, I am receiving accommodations at the university. It has been a little weird because, COVID is putting everything online, so we have like a little bigger time gap.
For sure.
But I can, if I just like email the disability services, I can go into like another room and take a quiet test, or even get accommodations that I would have during high school in that room.
Can you talk about that a little bit from like a self-advocating standpoint? Was that always in your toolbox, or was that learned in high school? Like, how did that evolve for you?
I really had to learn it in high school. As far back, it started in my accommodation started in elementary school, but I never had like full control of them, or I mean, I didn't know about them very much as I did like in high school.
Okay.
And for high school, it was really just like me telling teachers, like, hey, I need this, I need to do this. And it was kind of just a lot of self-advocating.
Yeah, I just wanted to add to that. Like
Mm-hmm.
we tried to teach him how to advocate for himself from the get-go. But I really didn't see it happening until high school. And
Sure.
even in middle school, when I would take him to the teachers with me and I'd tell him what you need, and he would be so embarrassed.
Sure,
But
sure.
yeah, but then in high school, I would hear back from the teachers that he was advocating for himself and he was doing a very good job of it. So even though it wasn't really till high school, he was paying attention.
Yeah, it's kind of that it's that linear kind of growth that we all go through, right? Whether,
Yeah.
and I think it's important for the students on the line to hear, because I think a lot of them struggle with it too, right? In elementary school, middle school, like being able to go up to a teacher, there's intimidation, right? There's that,
Yeah, no, there's
and
definitely an intimidation, and it's a lot of just like having the confidence to go up to someone and say, hey, I need help with this or something like that. And you can find a lot of people who like really want to help you and they want to see you succeed, but it's kind of hard when you're just a little shy about it.
for sure. I'm gonna have questions that I want you both to answer. First of all, what would you like current students to know? What would be one piece of advice you'd like current students to know?
One piece of advice that I think a lot of people should know this is just to keep pushing. I mean, it gets hard a lot of the times. It got hard for me, and I wanted to quit all the time. Like sometimes I ask myself, like, do I even want to go to school today? But
Yeah,
it just you gotta keep doing it. Nothing will get better if you just sit around.
totally agree with that. That's amazing. And just from the parent perspective, like anything that you can offer, like parents, or to help motivate their students to kind of keep making those hard steps.
Well, I think listening to your kid when it's hard, because I was going to say the same thing. Just don't stop. Keep going. But kids are going to have those days where they're just like, God, I just can't do it anymore.
Totally.
And OPATH definitely had those days. And I really think just listening and saying, I hear you. And that's okay. It's okay to feel that way. But tomorrow, let's get back up and do it again. And
Mhm.
so just being supportive in the fact that that pain is real and they need a minute to deal with it. Let them deal with it and then encourage them to go on.
I love that, because you kind of sit in it for a second, but you
Mm-hmm.
don't let it debilitate them.
Yeah.
You let them feel it, but then and you coach them through it to make
Yeah.
that. It's so awesome. So anything for the educators, like through your experience, like anything that you'd like educators to know?
Well, I think, what would you like educators to know? I don't know. I think one thing I notice with my students is just patience. Just if it takes them longer, just be more patient. And if they need you to repeat it for the 100th time, just be more patient. And, just give them a minute. They'll get it eventually. But school goes so fast and they feel like they have to, and of course, they're under a deadline. They got to teach these kids this thing by this day, but our kids need a little more patience. And that's what I love about my job is I'm able to go at their speed, and I'm
Yeah,
able to give them that patience that they might not always have.
Totally. There, one of our student panel members, I think, said it best when talking about dyslexia and learning challenges. Is it's really a time disability. It's just needing
Mm-hmm.
more time. And so and what you're saying just relates to that on such a broad level.
Yeah.
Anything that you would like your educators to know about?
I would honestly, I would like them to know that like not everyone learns the same as one person. Everyone is different. That's especially true with like math. Like it took me so long to figure out math, but as soon as I started applying it to something like football, or even like counting out the yards and like a 5 yard distance, just kind of helped me a little bit. But honestly, sometimes kids just need the one-on-one time, and just need to be patient with them.
Totally. So the rule on our IG live is that the guests get the last word, and it can be your message to the world. It can be anything you want, but I'll give you each the last word of kind of your message or what you would like to put out there.
All right, last word. Let's see. Honestly, I'd like to put out there that like it's okay to struggle. It's okay to feel frustrated with everything. I felt frustrated, and life is a struggle, even when you do have a disability. But the important thing is just you have to keep pushing. You can't sit there and sulk in sadness forever. You have to keep pushing. You have to keep moving forward. And just, I hope anyone you could, like, this message will help inspire so many people. Like, so many people have inspired me. But just keep pushing, keep going. That's the only way
Definitely
you
will.
get through. Yeah.
Definitely will. No, it's beautifully said. Beautifully said. Mom, how about you? Anything you'd like to put out there?
I think I really agree with Opath. That's kind of my thought too. But I do, like right now I have a great group of parents with all my students, and they're so supportive of their child. And I really think, just remember that your hard work as a parent does pay off, and to keep going, even though some days you want to quit. And some days you get rejected a million times and you feel your child is being dragged through the mud, but keep going because they need you and you can do it.
You guys are so inspirational, and just the drive that you both have on so many levels. It's just awesome. It's so great for you to talk with you both tonight. Thank you so much for applying for the scholarship, and we're just honored that you're moving forward and you keep going. It's just amazing.
Thank
Yeah,
you.
thank you.
Have a great night, and we'll talk to you soon.
Yeah, you too.
Thanks.